Hello, it's Whitney Wiley, and thank you for joining me for Love Your Work. And I am very excited today. I have with us as our guest Tara Hall, who is one of my mastermind partners in a Train the Trainer mastermind group that I'm a part of. Tara, how are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me and joining us and coming on to talk about doing work that you love. Why don't we just get to it? Why don't you tell everyone what is it that you do for a living?
Well, what I do is I am actually a program supervisor for an agency. I'm here in Connecticut, and I work in child welfare. So I've been working as in child welfare from a frontline social worker all the way up through the ranks since 1995.
That's quite a long time.
It's a long time. It's a long time. So I've seen quite a bit. I've heard quite a bit, and I continue to learn. And I have to tell you, being part of this organization for a good portion of my adult life has really allowed me to learn so many facets of the organization, so many to be on so many solution focused teams, to create my own teams, and to really, I'm a learner. I'm a lifelong learner. That's what I do. So I have to say, my agency has definitely challenged me to continue to stay on that path of learning.
Isn't it awesome when you have a organization that you work for that indulges things that really resonate with you?
It's so true because, you know, you very seldom hear of people staying in one particular organization as long as I have. I would say it's kind of a rare thing now. I
Yeah.
would say more than anything, and because I knew at this is right a joke, but I was supposed to be there for 5 years. That was my plan.
Well, so when they asked you in the interview, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You're like gone.
And it's so funny because, well, you have to remember now, this is also a very high stress field and, a lot of burnout. So it's typically not a place where you would see people stay for a significant amount of time unless they have opted to move around within the organization. And that's one thing I learned and I heard very loud and clear when I started there because what I realized is people that had been in the agency now, put me in the 5 year range of being there. When I would see and hear people that said they had been with the organization for like 20 years, 25 years, I'm like, oh my goodness, like I don't know if I'll see myself doing that. And then I became one of those people. But what I heard them say loud and clear was the need to move around,
Yeah,
need to learn, and the need to know the organization from different seats in order to keep yourself fresh in what you do, what you know, but to also be an asset to the organization because you
right.
do that.
Right. That's a really good point. And I think sometimes people feel like once they have a job in an organization, moving around is maybe disloyal to the person that hired them, or it seems like they're not grateful for the job they have. But really, it is a way to be an asset, to really be someone who can bring different parts of you at different times to different aspects of the organization. So I think that's a good model that you have used in order to stay fresh, like you said, and to continue providing value. So kudos to you.
Thank you, thank you. And and it doesn't come without its trials and tribulations
Oh,
too,
I'm
because
sure.
because there, and this is actually, I don't want to jump ahead here, but it's actually what fueled me to move into the training and development part of my life now and my own business because from what I've learned and I saw over the years and the people whose lives not that I've touched, but the people who have touched my life as well, I've learned a deeper sense of how to listen to people and to understand their trauma histories and the things that they've experienced. So it it actually has become a very nice blend for me in terms of the coaching aspect, because some of those same skill sets are absolutely necessary with the people that I work with, because some of them also, unfortunately, do have some trauma histories too. And not that I'm doing anything clinical with them, but it just has sharpened my sense of
Right.
how I hear things and how I observe things very differently. So um, it's had a nice way to roll into that other part of what I do.
That's awesome. So let's use that as a segue. So I have met you as a trainer, right? And let's talk a little bit about your business and the work that you do as a trainer and a coach. And is it a you consider a side hustle, or do you just I have a job and I also run a business? So how do you view that first of all?
Well, I I would like to say I'd like to view it as a side hustle, but I want it to be my main hustle.
Side hustle in the hustle. I like
That's
it.
right. That's right. So I look at it this way. You know, I have been at my employer for many years. However, my goal and my vision of what I have, the reason why I started my own business is because at one point in my career, I used to be a trainer in my organization. I talked about moving around,
Right.
and one of those opportunities of my moving around as a supervisor at the time was to be our work in our workforce development, our training academy. So when I got that bug, because that was a very different skill set than what I had been doing in my um, regional office, it was just something completely new, and I loved it. I loved being. It was that's that teacher in me. Like I always, I didn't. I wanted to be a teacher at one time, but my primary role when I was growing up was I was going to be a nurse. But I ended up in the helping field nonetheless. So um, I say all that to say that when I learned that skill set of working with people and being in the classroom and kind of just seeing people get it, you know, right in real time, that just really resonated with me and my style of learning as well. So I want what I've learned over the years and what I'm doing now to eventually be my main hustle, as I'll say, because you know at some point I do plan to retire, but I'm gonna always be working. So that'll be just another way to keep my mind sharp.
I think I know that script.
Yeah,
People, I'm still running into people and say, "I thought you retired." I was like, "Yeah, I'm just doing something different, right?"
yeah, just changing.
Uh, so but probably will work in some form doing something because I like what I in it, and ultimately that's the goal, right? If you like what you do, it doesn't feel like work.
Right, right,
And if you're able to make a difference in other people's lives, you know, extra bonus.
right.
So you talked about you were a trainer with them, that kind of gave you the bug. And what exactly are you doing now? What is your business, and what do you do?
So what I am doing now, well, my business is in training and development. So when I became a certified Canfield trainer, that really was the core foundation for me to really do what I love to do, right? Which is to do workshops, to do training at professional development conferences, to create my own workshops, and the coaching component of it too. So that's the crux of my business, and that's what I do. So you know, with the whole change of the landscape of our world these days, you know, you have to pivot and you have to do some other things. So, you know, I started online group coaching membership, and I'm also offering some online courses that things that I would have been doing in person, but
Right.
are they're to be determined because they were some things I have lined up for the fall. But if those classes end up occurring, they are still going to be available to me to be able to offer those online to people. So that's still there.
Awesome.
So yeah, so that's what I've been doing, and building up and continue to build. So I'm only about a year or so in, about a year and a half in now, and I love it. I really do, because I'm just learning so much more about what I'm able to offer people and to hear what they need because
Right.
of what they share.
Right. So let's take a little trip down memory lane. So you've been with your employer for, I don't know, my quick math says about 25 years or so.
Yes.
Um, Before, and I'm not trying to out you in age or anything, but before,
Listen, I'm
when
proud
you
to
were
say.
a baby, when you were still a baby and you had your first job, what was the first job you had?
Oh wow, this is funny. My my first job was actually at a car wash.
Really?
So this is like we're going back, right? Because you want to go down memory lane. I'm going to take you there. So that was my high school thing, but it was working at a car wash, and it was good money. I have to tell you, it was hot. I'm working out there, but it was fun. It was fun.
That's cool. It's cool when, especially your first job when you're a teenager, if you can have a job that's actually fun. I had several jobs when I was a teenager. I would say my very first job that wasn't a babysitting job was not particularly fun. And so I'm still yet to have shared my job journey with the group. One day I plan to, but it was not fun. And I mean, I've shared some of it. It wasn't fun and it hurt. So
Oh,
it was
oh,
some
that's not good.
physical. It was some physical things. It hurt. So you started in the car wash, and then at some point you went to college.
Hmm.
And so was the job or the organization that you work for now, was that your first job out of college, or did you have some other jobs?
Actually, I had two jobs before that one, and that first one was actually in customer service. So actually, the first two before of three, excuse me, the first three that I had when I left college were all in customer service,
Okay.
working for like a jewelry manufacturing, but I was on in the office, taking orders and things like that with the different companies we used to work with. So it no matter what you do, and I look at what I do right now, it's still customer service. So anytime you're working with people and you are providing a service, you still have to deliver, right? No matter what it is. And you could be that product because it's what you offer, or it's someone else's product.
Right. Right.
So for me, so those first two jobs were in customer service, and the first two actually jewelry manufacturing, and then the third one, right before I started working with my current employer, I worked for a company that was a third party loan business for people who kids who were in college and their parents were paying their loans for them.
Okay.
We were the third party company that basically did their monthly budgeting for them, and I had applied for the job that I have now. Oh wow, probably 2 years before I got it, and I had said, well, it's just not going to happen. It's been a long time, and you know, getting a state job was like, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. So I was going to resign myself to where I was for a little bit until I figured out what was next, and got a call out of the blue one day, and it happened very quickly.
So what did you study in school?
Actually, I was studying communications. I was initially planning to be a speech pathologist. That's
Okay.
some of my studies. So they were always in the communications, sociology, psychology kind of courses. And yeah, then things change again on you. When you're in college, that's the beauty of college, right? You start on one path and end up in another. Um, so but again, the same skill set, and core courses and foundation of things, they all rolled into where they were supposed to be. I look back at it now, and everything that happened, the way it did for me, it's so much aligned with where I am today and where I am now in my employer, but also my own business too.
So you have not, have you ever actually done a job that was related to speech, your speech pathology, or have you used that degree other than to say you had a degree? Have you had a job in that area?
No, not specifically in the in that realm, because my undergraduate degree is in communications, so I kind of had a very um, broad study. It was some of most of my courses though were in the social sciences, and but a lot of them were also in the broader range of communications.
Communications. Okay.
And so I had, life happens and in between, and I had wanted to go back to graduate school, go to graduate school, and it just took me a long time because once you start working, then you you have other things that happen in between, and
Right.
you think, yeah, I'm going to get there, I'm going to get there. But eventually, I did get there, and I went back to school for my graduate degree in 2011, and um, studied organizational management. And again, a lot of the things I was saying earlier about like my career path really fell in sync because I could really study my organization as
Right.
part of my graduate program, just because I had won so much time with my employer, but I also had served on in different capacities on different teams, um, different task force, different groups. So I always had my homework right in front of me all the time because I just took my organization as the basis for what I was learning.
I
And that was
think
just,
that's the best part. And
yeah,
that's the best part, right? I
yeah,
studied organizational leadership, development and leadership. And at some point, I was like, this organization is just right with all the lessons that I need for this program, right? You get
yeah,
to actually see what you're studying in action, up close
yes.
and personal. So,
Absolutely, real time, real time. And and the beauty of it, for any of your viewers out there who go back to school a little later in life, you also have that life experience too, and you take your studies a lot differently. You take them more seriously, but you have real world application to apply to the classroom, and that was the beauty of it because
right.
it was a nighttime program. I was going after work. Um, Twice, 2 or 3 times a week, but it was always we brought what we did from our day job into the classroom, so it made it that much more tasteful, to just understand like what goes behind these people making these decisions. And now I'm one of those people who have to make those decisions.
And so, do you use your education in that respect to help you make better, more informed decisions as it relates to management and leadership? Or have you, like, that was theory, this is reality, and never the two shall meet?
um, no, no, I absolutely go back and I I still look at some of my notebooks from graduate school, and I because what I found is that so much of the theory it's theory, but you test the theories and you see what works and what doesn't work. But I have to say I absolutely rely on so much of what I learned in my program because I think it has made me a better leader.
That's
It,
awesome.
it has definitely made me more well-rounded in what I know and also what I continue to learn because even though the studies change, most times the outcomes are pretty much the same. And if you talk to enough people who are in leadership or have experience in whatever capacity that is, for their employer, their own business, or whatever it might be, you'll find that you're going to hear something. If someone has like we have this universal experiences,
Right.
um, but what I've also seen is how I would not want to lead because of some of the leadership experiences that I've had. And so I think for those reasons, I, I I am a better leader because of being open to what I see, what I read, and what I have learned in my program. So I absolutely apply what I learn, and sometimes I need reminders.
And now you're able to take that knowledge and the theory and the practical lessons that you've learned along the way in management and as an employee in an organization, particularly one that you've been in for a long time, and craft messages and lessons for other leaders, right, to utilize to help make them a better leader. So what are some of one or two of the best lessons that you've learned throughout your career or as part of your education that you think is helpful for particularly people in management and leadership?
Hmm. You lead, I would say leading by example. Leading by example is number one. And I'll give this frame of reference in the position that I have. I have, as I said, when I started out, I was started from the front line and have been, well, kind of worked up through the agency. So I feel my mindset is this: there's nothing that I would not do that I would not, there was nothing I would have my staff do that I would not do or that I should not do. So I know their position because I was once in it. So I never forget the seat that I was in before. And for me, I take that really, really seriously because think of it like right now, um, with being essential workers and frontline workers, when my staff are required to go out, and I'm part of that decision of them going out and making visits in people's homes or in the community right now, there's a lot I have to factor into that decision. And I have to put myself in the shoes of, if this were me going out, what are the things I would want someone to be aware of for
Right.
me? So definitely leading by example and not forgetting the seat I was in before I got to where I am.
I love that. I love that. So, if you could impart, let's say, one piece of advice to someone who's new to, let's say, your organization, and then let's do that ask the same question but separately to starting their own business. But if you could impart one piece of advice to someone new to your organization doing the kinds of work that you do, what would you say to them?
The first thing I would say, and I say this because I also sit on hiring panels as well, and we often get the question on the panel of, um, you've been here a long time. What keeps you going? Why, why do you still do what you do, kind of thing. So what I would say to that person is, although there may be that you might be new at the job, you have life experience, and to bring all of you to the job. You know what I mean? Like, I think sometimes people feel like they just have to rely on their education, as that will get you in the door, but that doesn't always sustain you staying there.
Right.
So I like for people to embrace all of who they are and bring your personality, bring who you are to the table, because, just getting past the interview is only one piece. Um, Eventually we're going to see you on your great day and on your not so great day, you know.
And
you
if
know,
you did it right, they hired you partly because of your personality, right?
right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So,
And
and what
so you
about
can give
as
me
a
this,
business person?
yeah, give me that second part again.
No, I was just saying the same question, but in terms of as a entrepreneur, business person, a coach and trainer, if someone were coming to you and asking you for a piece of advice, starting new in their career as a coach and trainer, what piece of advice would you have for them?
Oh, I would probably say you're always going to question yourself, no matter what you do, and no matter
Mm,
how much you know, and be okay with that. Be okay with that. I would say to also have accountability, um, because when you're in business, but you're not, you're in business, but you're not alone in business. So I think it's really important to make sure that you have other people as sounding boards, whether they are accountability partners or whether they are other coaches, because you do need other coaches. And I make investments in business coaching so that I understand what I don't know or what I
right.
might need more clarity on. I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I have a conference coming up at the end of next month for exactly that reason. And when you don't know something, it's okay to ask. It's okay to share what you don't know, because there are tons of people who are resources around you. and just rely on other people when you don't know. Like and I go back to like the first part of your question, and then this part, which is we don't make decisions alone.
Right.
That's sort of our motto and how we have to triage our work. But no one makes the decision by themselves. We triage and we have other people to be part of that decision making. And it's the same is true in business, I would definitely say.
That's so true. And I think that goes back to something you said earlier, which was you are a lifelong learner and being willing to learn, to ask for help when you need help, which brings us back to how we have come to know each other as part of a mastermind group. And it's
Right.
something that I have suggested to the audience, to the members of this community, to be okay with asking for help, to be part of a mastermind group, to have accountability partners, to have a coach, mentors,
Yes.
be open to continuing to learn and to grow, and use all of that, like you said, to bring all of who you are to bear on the work
Yeah.
that you do, whatever work it is, whether it's for yourself or someone else. So, Tara, thank you so much for coming by and sharing a little bit of your journey, your wisdom. I appreciate you sharing um, good nuggets of navigating work, work world, particularly when working someplace for a really long time, and not getting stagnant, not feeling stuck, and being someone who looks to bring value everywhere you go. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for your
Thank you for
time.
having me.
Oh, absolutely loved it. And for the audience, I'm going to put Tara's contact information if you're interested in contacting her about any of the programs she's doing or coaching. The information will be in the comments. You can reach her there. And again, Tara, thank you very much for stopping by.
Absolutely. Thank you, Whitney.
All right. Take care.